We were drinking beer and having a sausage party. We were grilling sausages. We were at a gun shop. There were no ladies there, so it was
sounds
a
like our
sausage
kind
party.
of place.
Welcome to Whiskey and Windage, the two-way podcast for the people, by the people. I'm your host, Adam from Silver Bullet, joined with my co-host, Matt from Burning Powder, and Mike from OCA. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Couldn't be better, bro. Honestly, just happy to be here.
Man, I'm doing okay. Kind of been in a funk recently, but, working through everything, getting it going, man. It's going to be a good day.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, Mike, don't worry. Krispy Kremes is not going to get bought out. They are going to sell donuts still, so you're going to be okay. But, guys, we do have a great show tonight. It's awesome. I'm so excited for our guest tonight. We got Klay coming on, Klayco47, the man, the myth, the legend, the AK Goon Daddy himself. And some people say Brandon Herrera is the Goon Daddy, but I think Klay's the Goon Daddy, guys.
Goon Daddy.
He's really nice.
He's very
Really
nice.
nice.
Yes. But guys, with that being said, let's get right into the show, man. Let's get into that two-way news.
So a lot of 2A news stuff you've already heard about. Pew Party coming up this month. Whiskey and Windage is going to be in attendance at Pew Party. So
3
if
weeks.
y'all want 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks from a couple days ago. So we're on the short end of 3 weeks. We're on the short end of 3 weeks.
Days ago.
3 weeks from 2.5 weeks by the time
Hell
you see
yeah.
this.
Heard
Hell
it here
yeah.
first.
So
Yay for
Pew
math.
Party, be sure to go check it out. Pew Party 3 in Waxahachie, Texas. Then after that, we've got KalashBash coming up in April. I'm not going to talk too much about KalashBash this episode for the news because the whole episode's kind of dedicated to Klayco47. So y'all hear a lot more about KalashBash, about our friend Klay here in just a couple of minutes. Then we've got Southeastern Range Day. That's going to be it's in May.
Yes.
Yep, Southeastern Range Day is in May. We haven't been in talks with those folks over there at Southeastern Range Day. Get them on the show. Come in, tell us a little bit about their event, exactly what they're doing with their organization. That's pretty much all of the up-and-coming events. If you have an event that you want us to talk about, a great 2A event, make sure to get in contact with us so that we can shout it out to our following as well. In 2A news, there was also a big fiasco about ATF e-forms is disappearing. It's going down. It's over. It's over. It's not over. There was a little bit of like website maintenance or something going on. We got everybody got some emails. There was a huge debacle. Mike, didn't you get an email? Didn't you hear a bit more about that?
Yeah, man. I mean, as soon as it went down, we basically, my local FBI, so the TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, sent out the email for all of the FFLs and basically said, look, the FBI main site's gone down. Don't have an ETA when it's gone back up, but, there are inklings that, people are saying, hey, is it gone forever? No, it wasn't gone forever, and they reassured it. And, 24 hours later, give or take, it was back up and running. Everything was cool.
So not really any news at all, it sounds like, but
No, just a way to get get everybody's feathers ruffled.
good. Well, on the same page, along with that, there's been a lot of rumor about how fast e-forms are getting approved.
Yeah, dude. So you can see it all over Instagram, but I can tell you, sold a couple cans around Christmas presents, whether they, for themselves, and, sold 3. They're all 3 are already gone. So,
And that's 4 and 4, right?
yeah. So they're going quick. So, people are going in to their favorites, their gun shops. They're going in and they're buying their cans. You're buying the trash pandas, the RC2s, the RC3s, if you're balling, the dead airs. CGS, Yankee Hill, you name it. They're going out and they're buying their cans, they're filling the stuff out. And I've seen some being turned around on YouTube. Now, I won't speak because it's pretty easy to Photoshop those things, and I'm not saying people do, but I've seen turnarounds in as little as 3 days. But honestly, everybody's telling you, get out there and fill out your forms right now if you're wanting a can. But I'm going to be the voice of reason, and I'm going to tell everybody, go do that. But also don't be surprised if
we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
A couple 100,000 other people go do that, and now the e-form site's backed up again for 4 months.
Or it's down again.
So, take my opinion with a grain of salt, but, the more people that apply, the more paperwork they're going to have to do, and the slower the process is going to get.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was kind of the biggest stuff that happened in 2A news this week. So I don't have a whole lot more to touch on that, but I do think what's going on with the reviews page, Mike?
Yeah, Mike.
So before we jump into the reviews, Adam, before we jump into the reviews, I do want to drop one more piece of news, and it's the biggest news. It's the biggest news for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
And that news is...
Oh, what's that?
That's an M81 whiskey and windage hat, and if God's plaid isn't your cup of tea,
which is
Adam,
show them the goodness. The arid. Ooh.
Oh, we got the arid with the hunter's orange.
But show them the goodness. Show them the real goodness.
So then,
that's Daddy's favorite right there.
So then we're going to go with the jungle.
Oh.
And if the jungle isn't you,
I'm all about
we can just go with good old multicam.
Ooh,
hell yeah!
Flat bill. You got the flat bill too.
So these aren't available yet. Talk to your favorite whiskey and windage representative if you're trying to get one. There's not a lot of these out right now. We're getting them in as we can, but we've got a couple. Baby. It's small batch like we like it. But other than that, we'll go ahead and hit the review. So without further ado, here's my review.
These nuts.
So, honestly, I was supposed to film a review today, or actually this weekend, and I got to be real honest. I wasn't feeling as creative as I should because I was hoping to get some stuff in that I could do a really fun review on, and it didn't come in until today. So I'm going to get a review up this week sometime. No promise what day, but it's coming up. And if you can't see the underbarrel launcher right here, it's going to include that. And what we are going to do is we're actually going to give some love to the homies over at IWA. For those of you who aren't familiar, those guys do a whole lot of training rounds when it comes to the underbarrel or just launchers in general, as well as flashbangs, smoke bombs, distracting devices. So we are going to be trying out their smoke, their concussion grenade.
Ooh.
We're going to pop some green smoke. We're going to exfil like Call of Duty. We're going to drop a multi-bang. And then we're going to drop their training flashbang. So we're going to do all of those on one review. It's too short, not enough time in a review to talk about one each. So I'm going to kind of give you my opinions on all of them, as well as what I think they'd be good for, as well as, where you can get them. But other than that, that's going to be the review. So, while Adam's laughing, I'm actually going to bring in some cool shit this week. I'm just lazy and, didn't get it done this weekend. I had some writer's block.
We don't call him 40 Mike for nothing.
Yeah, but seriously, like back to that, the writer's block thing, seriously, for any content creator,
Amen.
It's one thing when you're really excited about doing something and getting it put out there. And then there's another thing where, hey, it's your turn and you got to do a review. And I'm going to be honest, like I knew what I wanted to do, but it wasn't in yet. And then there was weather. And then it was like, well, I'm going to try doing this. And that didn't work. And then I was like, well, I'm going to do this. And that didn't work. And I got some range footage, but I just didn't like anything enough for a review. So all this stuff came in. I'm going to go in, come back after real work, day job, and I'm going to come shoot all this stuff off, and I'm going to give a good review. So
Hell yeah.
that's it.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the 2A Spotlight. Today on the show we have a very special guest, the Goon Daddy himself. You may know him a little bit better as Klayco47. Klayco47, KalashBash. Mr. Klay Owens himself is here to join us. So how are you doing today, Klay?
I'm doing good. I need to bring you to KB to announce me because that was way better than what Tony does when I step out.
If,
That was
if
awesome.
you're bringing me out, I'll be there.
Man, he does favors too in dark rooms, so just
Favors and
Oh, they're nice.
yeah,
I
it's
mean-
very nice.
I mean, let's just say the AK guys. There's 2 AK guys in here right now, and they both got shaded glasses on. So it's there's already this mutual bond they have.
Dude, yeah, like
Klay
I
forgot
love
his
it.
gold chains. All right, we both forgot our 3 stripes, but we're here. Well, Klay,
Hey.
we appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us. We know, especially this time of year with KalashBash just around the corner, that you're definitely a busy guy. Is it all panic right now, or are you having fun? Or are you starting to get excited for KalashBash?
This time of year, like 4 years ago, when we didn't have many events under our belt, it was sheer panic. And like, why am I doing this? Why did I sign myself up for this? But now we've been doing it so many years. By this time, we're pretty dialed in. And now, a month out, it's just like a few loose ends here and there. But we get to work. We start planning KB like 6 months out. So by this time, we're pretty dialed. So now I'm just getting excited.
Hell yeah, dude. So I've been watching, like I said, I've been looking at the flyers. I've been watching the videos, looking on YouTube at the old stuff, and I'm trying to figure it out. And so I guess in your best description for people who don't know what it is, like first say, what and where, like where it is, what are the dates, but then even more importantly, like what the hell is it? It's like, it looks like it's a team event. It looks like it's a costume party. It looks like there's a cover band. It looks like, dude, like this looks like Bonnaroo mixed with guns. And it's like, I'm here for that, but tell everyone what it's really about.
That's so funny because I always say it's like Burning Man / Gathering of the Juggalos with AKs.
See?
So it's man, all KalashBash is, if people are listening and they have no clue, it happens April 13th and 14th. It's a mostly 3-day event depending on what ticket you buy. It happens in a town that no one's heard of called Eagle Lake, Texas.
I have.
At a world-renowned premier range called
Eagle Pass?
Eagle Lake.
I thought it was Eagle Pass. I was like, what are we shooting over there?
Yeah, the range is called the Ranch Texas Club. It's like one of the most premier ranges in the country. It's an amazing property, awesome place. But what the event is, it's separated into like 3 sections. We have a competition, an AK only competition, 8 stages, about 350 guys shooting over 4 days. Staff on Thursday. Some people shooting all 8 stages on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, there's like AM, PM scheduling, so you get half done one day, half done the other day. And that's all out that's like natural terrain jungle run stages. You're all out in the woods doing long range, like LARPing around. It's pretty wild, some of the stages that our guys at Dissident Arms come up with. And it's only Kalashnikov variants. We do allow a little we have like a division called Combloc, that's like SKS's VZ58s. If you just refuse to bring an AK, we'll stuff you in that division, but absolutely nothing else is allowed. This is an AK only match. The other side of the event, we have almost 60 vendors that all have something to do with the AK world that come out, and we put a big spotlight on them. We have bays and bays and bays of vendors that bring machine guns and new product, old product, guns. You just walk up and think of it as like range day at SHOT Show, only everyone's invited. Like this isn't you buy a ticket, you get to do like a SHOT Show range day, but it's all AK stuff and AK vendors. And then the third part is we have a campsite with 300 to 400 people that stay overnight. This year we have a concert with 3 bands on a big professional stage. We have airsoft force on force fighting at the campsite. We have bonfires. We have cook-offs. This all happens at the campsite, Saturday night and Friday night. And dude, this is all going off over like a 3-day period, and the LARPing. I'm glad you brought that up. Is a huge part of it. For people that don't know the costume, the cosplaying. Everyone and their brother is wearing a costume. We give out prizes for about 6 different types of costume. And as far as prizes go, if you get through the whole event and you're still breathing and you hang out until Sunday, we have like $100,000 in prizes that go out randomly all Sunday.
Damn. So on an event like this, are you going to stay with the people? Are you staying off site? Are you doing an RV? Like how does
I live on
Klay
site
do
for
this?
I live on site for like 7 days. So the ranch has a bunkhouse that I stay in. It's open to all the members. I'm a member at the range. But there's a bunkhouse, so I just stay in a bunkhouse. So I work all day at the event, and I just walk 20 feet, go in the bunkhouse, do my computer work at night, and I wake up. There's no travel. I'm there. I can wake up early and get going.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome,
Dude,
man.
that is awesome. And so when you say the jungle shooting and all that, that's team events where, the team is competing against the other teams that are in that division, correct?
So this is in most shooting competitions, it's every man for himself. So there's not really so you have different squads. If you're on the squad, it doesn't mean like you're not really shooting together in aggregate for score. You're shooting against each other, but you do travel around with a squad. And some guys might choose to shoot the light irons division, so they're shooting like 5.56, 5.45 AKs on iron sights. They might choose to shoot the heavy division, which is 7.62 and up iron sights. There's open divisions where you can put dots on your guns. We have PCC divisions, which is all AK derivative PCCs. So in a sense, you're only competing against people shooting in your division. So if I shoot a 5.45 AK-74 on irons, I'm only competing against other people shooting light calibers on irons. I don't have to compete against the open division guys, the PCCs, the Combloc guys. So that's really your only competition is your division.
It kind of keeps it all. It levels the playing field.
It's
Exactly.
like an IDPA match. I mean, I've shot a lot of
Exactly.
IDPA, and IDPA is the same way. You can be with a group of guys, but one shooting outlaw, one shooting this, and you just kind of you're competing against the people in your class.
Yeah, it's an outlaw carbine match. So they use like 3-gun style scoring, like 2 anywhere or 1 in like an A zone.
Yeah.
Typically, they do 2 anywhere. And the guys that are shooting like 54R, like the big bore guns, they only require them to put 1 on paper because these guys are shooting like 20-round mags most of the time. But for the most part, it is really high-speed run and gun through natural terrain run and gun stages. We do have long range. A lot of that's prone. And there's very few bay stages. I shoot matches all the time, and I really appreciate when people use like natural terrain stages. That's not something that's common. Most of the time, it's a 3-walled bay.
Yeah.
And there's some walls, and it's very like, meh, it's like 3-gun.
Yeah.
This is all very natural terrain stuff, so it's
Where did you-
really immersed.
Where did you come up with this idea? Like what did it take? How did you guys, what did it take for you to like, when you first thought of this, like, what was that like? And then, turning it into reality.
We were drinking beer and having a sausage party. We were grilling sausages. We were at a gun shop. There were no ladies there, so it
Sounds
was a
like our
sausage
kind
party.
of place. Sounds just like our kind of place.
Hell
We,
yeah, dude. That's AK guys.
I met my business partner Tony Hetty, who owns Kyber Customs. A lot of people know him for like the cheese graters that people put on AKs. And we had just met Mike and Lan at Dissident Arms, who built high-speed, low-drag, competitive AK shotguns. And they had just went to France and like won the world championship, which stands for 3 years. So like they had become well known. Met them randomly, and we were just sort of all at a cookout at a buddy of mine who just opened up his gun shop, and he was like doing an open house. And we were all just drinking beer, and I remember telling these guys like, hey, there's a couple of AK matches that happen like throughout the country. There's Red October and maybe a couple others, but I was a big Renfest guy. I used to go to the Renfest every year. My favorite part was camping because that's where the party was.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, if you guys go to Renfest, it's like family time, but if you go to the campsite, it's like adult time, and it's wild. So I thought, dude,
Good to know.
if one of these big AK matches like didn't make you leave for a couple days and you could sleep on site, and you really hyped up camping and you really hyped up bringing vendors out and machine guns, like an AK match is cool, yeah, but a lot of these dudes, they don't really get to see other AK guys. Like most of us, we go to the range and you might be one out of like 10 people, and you're the only one shooting AK. It's hard to identify with people. Most people call you a poor or your guns. Like, why would you buy that? We've all been like, I'm sure Matt knows. So
see, I've met great friends that way. I have met some great people in San Antonio, like Aiden. I'm horrendous. I'm sure you know who he is.
Oh yeah, I love Aiden.
That's how I met. I love Big Bear, and that's how I met him. I met ID at a competition, and he was just one dude that's just the oddball, and he was a great dude. So I think that's how you meet the best people, personally.
Sure. Yeah. And like, AK people attract other AK people. So I know when I went to my first big AK match, which was Red October back in 2016, there was like 100 dudes, and I was walking around thinking, damn, like I thought I was weird. Everyone here is into the same shit I'm into. Like we all wear the same clothes. We have the same crappy guns. We all talk the same way. We're in the same forums with like 16 burner accounts on AK Files. We all do this. This is cool that we're all in one place at one time. And we just wanted to expand on that. So we're all drinking beer. And I remember thinking, I shoot matches all the time. I've never put one on. But going to the Renfest so long, I thought, dude, I could throw a crazy campsite party, but I can't do the match. So staring at these two guys, and they're like, yeah, we do matches all the time. And they love AKs. And me and Tony kind of look at each other and we're like, what if? And that's kind of how it started. And then it just snowballed. Like, we were already doing our Christmas events, Kalash Must, which was like 200 people that would meet up and we would shoot AKs at dirt. And we'd all dress like Santa Claus. And that had been going on like 4 years. We were doing 4th of July events, but this was all just like meet up at the range, hang out and shoot. Not very structured. Once we met Mike and Landon, they were like, we could put together an 8-stage match. We could build practice score. We can do all that stuff. You don't have to worry about it. Can you guys like get vendors to come out and get other normal people to come out? And we just sort of did it one year. We flew by the seat of our pants. It was terrifying the first year. We were totally unprepared. We might have sold like 275 tickets at most. And here it is 5 years later. We've got 1,000 people coming out, 60 vendors with a $100,000 prize table, all because AK people are highly dedicated to gathering. Like, they want it so bad, and it's awesome.
That's awesome.
A sense of community is definitely something we're missing sometimes. And
it definitely is a community. It is a community. So that first one, you say it was just panic and fly by the seat of the pants. You know, now it's a well-oiled machine. What were your goals, starting KalashBash? I mean, I know it's to bring the AK community together, as you said, but, did you consider the first year a success?
Well, we didn't lose money. So I would say it was successful in that sense.
That's a success, yeah.
That's a win. We take it.
The biggest thing at the time I already had a really big Instagram account. So the whole reason KalashBash even happened was because my YouTube, I virtually didn't have one at the time. But I had one of the largest AK-centric Instagrams at the time. And Instagram back then was, as the kids would say, bussin'. And they were very nice to gun channels. Gun channels would grow back then, if you guys remember.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, the channel was big, and I knew I had a lot of eyeballs on the channel, so I thought, well, maybe that can help. Yeah, Mike and Lang could build the match, and maybe we could use my channel to help get some vendors involved and just really hype this thing up and get people to come out. But I remember also this was around the time where we started to see a lot of accounts getting banned, YouTubes were getting shut down, and I thought, dude, how are they going to ban something where it's like a boots on the ground thing? Like, what are they going to do? Like, ban an event? Like, they could shut down my Instagram channel. YouTube could go away, but they can't stop people from gathering in a cow field to shoot AKs at trash. You can't really stop that from happening.
Nope.
So we thought if anything deserved like all of our resources, we should do some sort of a gathering. If Instagram and all the socials went away tomorrow, if we just had it same time, same place every year, maybe we would always at least have that. If the internet just didn't want guns on it anymore.
That's a good outlook.
That was a big driving factor.
If we build it, they will come.
Yes. I used to say that all the time to Tony. I was like, I'm telling you, dude, if we just give them a place to show up, I'm telling you, people will show up, and they did.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, now you got people coming from all over the world. Isn't there a competition this year of like furthest traveled? Or an award
we had it
for
last
furthest
year
traveled?
too. The guy that won it flew all the way from Cologne, Germany, and he won farthest traveled. Pascal, and he is like hilarious. He's very awesome. He, where he comes from, they're not allowed to shoot in a tactical manner at a range. They're not allowed to wear tactical-looking clothes. They're not allowed to shoot paper in the shape of a humanoid form. They're not allowed to have more than 10 rounds in a mag. They're not allowed to own more than like 2 or 3 guns on a certain permit. He's not allowed to do 90% of what he could fly to Texas and do. In 2 days, he got to do more than a lifetime of what he's allowed to do in Germany. So he came back to Lethal Weapons. He's coming back this year. He's like a born-again Texan. He loves it so much.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So what, if you remember right now, what's the prize for furthest travel? Do you know? Have you figured that out? Or
we haven't picked yet.
What was
Pascal won
last year?
Pascal won last year, so we had to make sure it like wasn't a gun or something he couldn't fly with. So, man, I don't remember what it was. It was something badass.
Hell yeah.
With that, we have to be very careful because we knew we have a guy flying in from Europe. He's probably going to win. So we had to like change in the heat of the moment what he won so that he could legally take it.
Yeah.
So what kind of vendors, before Matt jumps in and asks his question, what kind of vendors, like just to gloss over real quick, what are the big hit vendors you've got that are going to be there that you're excited about?
Oh, man. Well, JMac usually has the biggest, baddest booth with dozens and dozens of machine guns. We have another vendor called Gun NATO that's going to have like 150 machine guns in one bay of everything from little 22s up to belt feds of all different kinds, and a 50 cal Dishka Melton Hilux Toyota. You can rent all these guns and shoot them. So he's going to be cool. You know, in the AK world, a lot of people are really hyped up about PSA AKs. Love them or hate them, they'll be there.
Love them.
Sentry Arms is they're cool. They don't really have a lot of new stuff right now, but they're coming out. IWI usually comes out and makes a big splash. KUSA, Riley Defense. We're trying to have a lot more of the American AK manufacturers come out because, I mean, like it or not, imports
It's tough to get
are
right
not
now.
guaranteed. Yeah, so
It's a tough one.
we
Super
have
tough.
like 4 suppressor manufacturers coming out. The one that I remember used to come to KB back in the day before he changed his name is Resilient Suppressors.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, he used to come out. His company was named like Shrimp Gang, and he used to make like build-it-yourself cans. And then now he's Resilient, and he has absolutely blown up. And he comes to KB every year and just blows people's minds with his cans. So he'll be out again.
Where are you
Cool to see
finding all the
people
ammo
run
to
again.
shoot this shit?
Yeah, where's all the 7.62?
No, well, it's
Where-
not about
that's
it's
where
not
it's
about
at.
about pay. It's not about
It's
finding.
about the
That's
money.
where you pay
Hey,
for.
that's where
Yeah.
it's at. That's where the ammo's at. All the ammo in the U.S. is at KalashBash.
When you get into AKs, you learn how to hoard.
Yes, you do.
You have to
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, I'll go ahead and
It's
let
rough.
you jump in.
Well, I mean, he mentioned it already, and I haven't heard anything about it this year, and so I was kind of wondering, and I know some other people were kind of wondering, is there going to be a Lethal Weapon 2?
Man, I was hoping you wouldn't ask that. I knew it was going to get brought up. I would say more likely no, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
Lethal Weapons was like an experiment doing an event outside of AKs.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the old Soldier of Fortune matches that happened back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know this, but like competition shooting, a lot of that came from Soldier of Fortune matches. And what was so cool about those matches back in the day, you had to shoot guns the way you bought them. So most of the it was all iron sight matches. You couldn't modify them. And then like when Colt came out with like their fixed 4 power and the AUG A1 came out with an integrated optic, they dominated matches because it came with it.
Mm-hmm.
I love shooting iron sights. I like old guns. I like A1s, A2s. I like Galils. I like AKs. I like G3s and FALs. I love that shit. It's what I grew up on. Like my dad had me shooting FALs when I was a little kid, and it always stuck with me. Dad used to work gun shows in the 80s and 90s, so I was always around the cool stuff. And as I'm sure Adam can attest, when you get into a lot of like high-end competition shooting, it's all AR derivatives. It's all 2011s, pimped out Glocks, maybe CZ75s, and it doesn't really deviate from that if you want to be competitive.
Not
So
really.
it's
I mean, it's
very
staccato
similar.
nowadays. Staccato nowadays.
Staccato, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all very similar, and I thought, dude, if I could do anything, I would take a time machine back and I would shoot Soldier of Fortune days with like an old freaking M16A1 and just see what it was like, man, with all these like salt of the earth dudes shooting like run what you brung, shooting guns out of the box. No one does that anymore. So
No.
that's what Lethal Weapons was, and people loved the match. The problem with Lethal Weapons is retro guns. I think we're just now starting to see a lot of companies see, oh, people are into this stuff again because retro guns are so hot right now.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, Ruger just came out with their folding stock again. Like, they should have came out with that 5 years ago. But to find vendors to support an event like that, not everyone and their brother makes retro gun stuff. So vendors are very hard to find.
Yeah,
I got you.
I will say I am old enough. I can date myself. In basic training, I still qualified on an M16 with iron sights, so I can still go retro. Yeah, good old days.
Yeah, there's some
I remember
awesome footage
last
from Lethal
year
Weapons.
Yeah, last year around Lethal Weapon, that dissipator you were playing with was it inspired me to start another AR build and to go retro. I don't know. I've had lots and lots of ARs, and they just don't capture me the way the AKs do. And the uptick in retro AR activity got me fired up about them again. So
They're so hot right now.
super hot.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little IDF carbine thing at the moment. It'll be finished in a little while, but yeah. And 7.62 is getting expensive, so I gotta have a 5.56 gun to shoot.
That's crazy. Isn't that crazy to say that? Oh,
It's so weird, dudes.
You could get you a 5.56 AK. Don't post about it on Facebook, but you could get you one of those.
Yeah, you get slammed.
I heard there might
NGS
be.
was working on one for me.
I heard there's a rumor there might be a Texas company in San Antonio working on something. On
Maybe.
that. Maybe. There might be a Texas San Antonio company working on that right now. So I'm
Yeah,
sure you've heard.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I hear a lot of rumblings.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But Clay, I also know like you're getting your wife involved a lot in social media. Rachel, right? She's shooting a lot more now.
Man, she's been shooting for a while. I wouldn't be on Instagram if it weren't for Rachel. When I was just like a nerd in my little one-bedroom apartment before I'd ever even shot a match, she's like, "You ever heard of Instagram?" And I was like, "That's for girls. Everybody know." And she's like, "No, there's actually a lot of cool stuff on Instagram." And I'm like, I thought Instagram was just for taking pictures of food, like your avocado toast. Right?
Yeah.
I'd have
And
been
I
a
remember,
king there.
like, if it weren't for Rachel, I never would have started Instagram. And I got on Instagram and was like, oh, it's a shitload of gun dudes on here taking cool pictures of guns. And without her, and that snowballed into everything else. So without her, there wouldn't have been, we wouldn't be talking right now. But she's been competing with me for ever since we met. We've been together 10 years.
Wow.
And she's been shooting matches off and on the entire 10. She's really ramped it up over the past couple of years. I'm fortunate enough to say I married my best friend, and
Bravo.
I don't really even like shooting matches unless she goes with me. She helps film. We're always talking about how we're going to tackle a stage. We help each other get dope on our guns. She's an awesome shooting partner, and I like seeing her go out because a lot of girls that they like follow their husbands and their boyfriends to matches, and they just sit there and they hate being there, and they're like, when can we freaking go?
Yep.
We've all seen that at matches, and they see her and they're like, well, this isn't that intimidating. I mean, Rachel weighs like 98 pounds soaking wet, and she's running around with like a Draco, and it kind of inspires some girls like, oh, like I don't have to be mad at them for being at the range all day. I can join in.
Yeah.
So
Hell yeah, man. That's awesome.
that's a cool byproduct.
My wife's always loved AKs even before I was into them, and so like I got into AKs, and like she watches Rachel's stuff, and it's just like I'm gonna do it too. And so just recently she's started to appear on camera doing some shooting, but Rachel's one of her inspirations of like, man, she's such a badass, and she's out there running full auto 7.62 guns and stuff, and like,
Oh, dude, it
fearless, dude.
freaks
She's
people
a
out.
beast. She's a beast.
So Rachel works for the county where we live. So there's always cops coming in and out of her office and stuff. And I think someone got wind that she was like on the internet, and she tells me the funniest stories. Rachel's got like all these videos of her like just mag dumping full autos and stuff. And like, these cops will come in and they're like, let me see that. And the funniest thing ever, I guess some cop that works there had found out that Rachel like knew Brandon Herrera, and he's like uber famous now. So she's like, these grown men will walk in my office and they're like, hey Rachel, everything all right? And she's like, yeah, what's up? Nothing. I was just hey, I was curious, like, do you know Brandon Herrera? And she's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, what's he like in real life? Like, is he cool? He's cool. Is he cool? And she's like, you're grown. That's like a 20-year-old dude that you're swooning after, and they're like, I don't know, he just seems really cool. And there's always these groups of dudes that just want to come in her office and like talk about the one time Rachel might see Brandon Herrera every year. Ask him this, like, what does he think about this? Like, dude, relax.
Yeah,
Honestly, to me, Klay is AK Jesus, not Brandon Herrera. Brandon Herrera looks a little more like Jesus, but
he does. Brandon's a really good dude, and he catches
like
crap for like not doing a lot of AK stuff anymore. But
yeah,
the guy pushed all of his chips in on YouTube, like it pays bills.
It does.
I mean, you have to make content that gets views. I mean, he's got people on payroll now, so
Exactly. And Klay,
he's winning.
Clay, are you one of the lucky guys? Because he's in my district, so I get to vote for him. Are you in the district too, or are you out of his district?
Out of the district.
I thought so. Yeah, you did make it. But that sucks. But yeah, dude, that's happening real soon. So I'm excited. But I've already told people I am voting for Brandon Herrera, so he has my vote.
Man, so Klay, I heard you say something earlier that it's going to segue into this question I've got for you. But we've heard about you and your competitions, and Rachel, we've also heard about KalashBash. You said your dad. I think you said your dad was going to gun shows. Isn't that right? Like, or selling guns. Like, tell us how your 2A journey started. Like, what got you into 2A?
My dad and my uncle had an FFL in the 80s, and they would go work gun shows back in like the glory days of guns, when like all the Cold War guns were coming in the 80s, and you could walk into a gun shop and there would be Uzis and MP5s and like Egyptian AKs and Styrogs and just crazy shit.
Barrels and barrels of Nagants for $99.
Right, like, and SKSs were about the same price. I mean, I grew up with Dad telling me stories of like, dude, we used to sell like a Norinco Paratrooper SKS with 1,000 rounds of ammo shrink wrapped for like a $1.50 at gun shows back in the day, and I'm just like, damn, like he was just around all that stuff. And then when I was young, I was very impressionable when at a young age during the 10-year ban, 94 to 04. And I remember Dad would always talk about like pre-ban this, pre-ban that, and I didn't really know what that meant at a young age. And like he would pull out these old Bushmasters and these old Colts, and he always had my dad used to build FALs on M-Bell receivers, so I was always around these super dope ass cool old Cold War guns. And then I started hanging out with my uncle a lot, and he had the really cool stuff. It would be nothing for us to go to his house and like he'd pull out a Galil ARM. I didn't even know what that was. A buddy of his would be at the house with an AUG, or just these really cool sick ass guns that I didn't even see on TV, and I'm just like, what? And it just would blow my mind at a young age. And I had a lot of guns at a young age, and our family had property in the national forest, so we could go out and shoot anytime we wanted. I didn't even know what it was like going to public ranges. We would just go shoot, at Grandpa's house. We just had all this property. So got into that for a long, long time. Got out of guns, got into four-wheeling for a long time, and when I got back into guns, that's when AR-15s were super hot. Carry handles were not cool. This was right after 04-05, so the ban had ended. And then I think flat tops. There was some magazine that showed like a flat top upper with an aim point on it. Everyone was like, well, the future is now, and like people didn't give a shit about carry handles anymore. And that was the norm for years, and I fell into that, man. I'm using the word build loosely, so don't get mad at me. I built a whole bunch of AKs.
I understand the difference. I get it.
Yeah, so I built a whole bunch of ARs. Like, I remember when Spike's Tactical was like the thing, and I don't get mad. I had some red anodized parts on some ARs back then. Like, I did all the boomer stuff.
That's
I did all the stuff.
Joke.
I did all the stuff, and I remember like looking in my closet one day, and I was like, I have like 8 AR-15s that all do the same thing. They've all got free float rails. They've all got mag pull crap. They've all got the same optic, crazy muzzle brakes, and what am I doing? Like, why do I keep building these things? And then I remember I had this old dusty Wasser in my closet and a Vepr 308 that I'd had like my whole life that I never paid attention to because I wanted the new hotness, and AKs were gross. And I remember arsenals were flooding in the country at the time. You could buy SLRs for like $1,000.
Jeez.
Now they're like $3,000. But I remember buying an Arsenal one day just on a whim because I got so burnt out on ARs. Just total burnout. Like, I couldn't watch enough YouTube videos on them. I couldn't put enough of them together. It was not special to me anymore. And then I remember taking my old Wasser out, shooting it, and thought, I'm gonna buy a really nice AK. So I bought an SLR 107, which is a really nice gun. and just thought, damn, like, I didn't know AKs could be this nice. I was so used to, like, clapped out Wassers, just clapped out stuff. And then I remember buying a Krebs Custom AC-15, and then I remember discovering Rifle Dynamics, and I'm like, there's like a whole world of really nice high-end AKs I didn't know existed. And one day, I had got into AKs hardcore after getting on Instagram. And then one day, dude, I'm at my job, and at my lunch break, I'd always get on YouTube, and I remember seeing all these videos of Jim Fuller. I'm sure you guys are familiar with him.
Yes.
And I would just drool. I was like, one day I'm going to have a dope-ass AK like that, but I cannot afford. And he started talking about Red October, and it was this big match they were going to do in Utah, where, like, AK nerds would show up and shoot a match. And they hyped it up for, like, a year. And I remember I was terrified of shooting a match. I didn't even know what it was like to shoot a match, but I shot trash my whole life, like most of us.
Yep.
And I convinced myself I was a really good shooter, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And then me and my buddy would watch this video over and over again, like 3 times a day, of Jim Fuller saying, if you like AKs, you need to be at this thing. And we just said, fuck it one day. And we bought tickets, and we drove 22 hours across the country, nonstop, didn't sleep, didn't get a room, like slept in his truck. And we shot Red October that first year, and my first match. And I did like halfway decent, and I thought, holy shit, like I could do this every day of my life. And we started shooting matches 3 times a month after that. And we got to where we were dominating a lot of local matches with AKs. And then eventually J-Mac noticed on Instagram, like, there's these 2 nerds in Texas winning matches with AKs. So J-Mac started talking to us, and then K-Var started talking to us, and these other guys started talking to us. And then we were like, oh my God, I think we're sponsored shooters now. Whoa.
We're famous.
And then,
We've made it.
we like, I had like a muzzle brake and maybe like I don't know, maybe like 1 case of ammo sent to me, and I was like, I fucking made it. Like, I thought, this is what I've reached the king of the castle. And it just sort of snowballed from there. And then Instagram really blew up, and it wasn't too long after that, a few years after that, of just nonstop drilling and matches and Instagram. The stars aligned. I meet Tony. I meet Mike and Land from Dissident. And KalashBash was just sort of born. That's like the short story of all of it, but that's kind of how it all fell together.
Hell yeah, dude. So, yeah, I was going to say, that's badass. So you've said all of that. So let's talk about, future Klay. Let's talk about future KalashBash real quick. I mean, you don't have to get into it too much, but like, what do you want to see in the future as far as, your growth or your goals, as well as KalashBash's, as well as just the AK community in general? Like, what do you want to see? What would be cool for you to see?
For myself, I got a full-time day job.
Yeah.
So none of this gun stuff pays the bills.
We all do.
Not even
Nope.
close.
No.
Yeah, we all, everybody that listens doesn't understand that, unless you're the CEO of the gun company, you might, or a handful of influencers, don't want to take anything away. Everybody gets their flowers, but for the most part, it either pays for the cool toys you have, or it helps pay for the cool toys you have.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
It might reimburse you, a little bit here and there, but it doesn't pay for anything. So, I got a full-time day job that I'm passionate about. I do a lot of process automation and electrical work at chemical plants, and it's been a long time getting to where I'm at there, so I don't ever plan on stopping that. That's always going to be there. Guns, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm always terrified to think, like, man, what would it be like if I pushed all my chips in and just did gun stuff for a living, and then one stroke of a pen later, I'm out of a job, or I'm not physically allowed to do some of these things I need to make money.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's not really a risk I would be willing to take until some stuff changes. So I think I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. The YouTube channel is honestly, it's a hobby to me. It's fun. I enjoy editing. I enjoy I love shooting. Shooting competitions to me is the most fun you can have with your pants on. So I'll never stop doing that. I would like to be a much better competition shooter. I want to keep doing that. And I'd like to make better YouTube videos, I guess, just that people enjoy. That's really it. I don't really want. I'm kind of hoping the YouTube channel doesn't get like crazy big, because then everyone hates you when you get that big. I'm at the level now where like people are very into it. At a certain level, dude, you get so many haters. It's just like I don't want that in my life.
Well, at some point also, and you'll know it because you know people that are successful YouTubers just like we do. there is this echelon where you're like the cool guy and you're doing very well and everyone loves you. And then you just move up that one tier, like you said, and you get the haters. But also, then that shit starts to feel like work.
Yeah, there's a tax bracket. You just want to be right there at that level.
But the moment it feels like work, it's no longer fun. It can be for a while, but it just starts draining on you, and you're like, man, I'm losing that passion. I'm losing that fun.
Yeah, people see that in the videos too. Like you can tell when they're just sort of phoning it in.
You can tell,
But that's why I don't want to. I'm kind of hoping the channel. I'm in a safe space right now. I think it's big enough where enough people watch it and enjoy it, and YouTube barely monetizes anything. So to think that you're ever going to make a lot of money on YouTube from ad revenue is a total fallacy. Like people, I hear it all the time that I'm making all this money on YouTube. I'm like, bitch, if you could honestly see what YouTube says yes to, it's nothing. They don't say yes to anything. Everything is demonetized. So nothing. There's no money in it. It's kind of it has to be like a passion project. So you have to get something else out of it. I've made lifelong friends doing gun stuff, and I've met some of the worst people I've ever hoped to meet in my life doing gun stuff. There's a lot of snakes in this industry. But for the most part, it's been really good. For the future of the community, the AK community in general is going through a transition phase right now, where you have all the old school dudes that really don't want all the new school dudes coming into the community. There's this big clash right now. You've got and I don't even like the term "Niet rifle is fine," but there's a lot of guys in the community, a big portion that they won't touch an American AK. It doesn't really matter if it's good, bad. They don't care. They won't talk to you if you have one.
They're like the FUDs of AKs.
Yes, and it's like, dude, like there's a transition going on. A lot of imports don't come in anymore. This isn't 2015 when you could go to a store and buy an arsenal for $1,000. Those days are gone. They're never coming back. The ammo's extremely expensive. The Russian ammo's drying up. All AKs are going to 5.56 AKs now. You got to get used to that. It's the way of the future. That's never going to change. 5.56 AKs are the way of the future. So you have this big part of the community that just can't stand the way things are going. They don't like all this. Like AKs used to be my thing. It was cheap for a reason. It was my thing. I don't want any new guys enjoying this. And there's this big gatekeeping aspect to it. And then you have the new guys that just generally don't know what the fuck they're doing. They ask dumb questions and they get nailed to a cross for it on forums and everything else. So for the future of that, I just hope the AK community would just chill the fuck out. If you got nice guns, cool, enjoy them.
Yeah.
You don't have to ostracize the guy that can't afford that stuff, so he might be looking at a PSA AK, a Raleigh Defense AK, KUSA. If that dude could buy that nice stuff you have for what you paid for it, he would. But no one's got a time machine. Those days are gone. So
if I could buy
I just wish the
SLRs
AK
for
community would
$1,000,
relax.
I'd have a few of them. I only have one because of what they cost.
I love hearing that come out of your mouth, though, honestly, because the whole reason our passion project is this podcast. It's not to get rich. It's not to get famous. It's not to get known. We've got followers. Our YouTube's growing. Our Spotify's killing it. We love everything about it. But our whole goal, our passion project was this, and we set out to basically stop the gatekeeping and say, we don't care. Everybody's clicked up. Everybody has it, whether it be your AK guys, your AR guys, your Glock guys, your SIG guys, whatever. And we're trying to basically just help do our part in tearing down the barriers to say, like, at the simplest form, we're all gun guys and we're all 2A supporters. So I may not, when you say certain makes, models of AKs, or, when Matt says a trunnion and I say that,
Ooh, I love that word. That's a hot. I love when he says trunnion.
The undercarriage of a dog.
I'm like, it sounds like the undercarriage of a dog. I don't know what the fuck that is. But when I hear these words, it's like, but at its simplest form, it's like, all right, well, like, we're here to support everybody that supports the Second Amendment, no matter who it is. Everybody gets a spot at this table. And just like you said, everyone, ooh, is Brandon Herrera cool? Like, I know he's not coming to my birthday, and that's fine. We don't care. It's more about accepting and being proud of a guy who is trying to grow and trying to do something more with the platform he's given. Just like you, you're trying to do more with the platform you're given, and you're very humble about it. But you do have quite a large following, and I mean, I know you're aware of it, but at the same time, you're still, it seems like the same old Klay, and the guy that's still trying to do positive changes and, help bridge gaps. So that's kind of like us, and that's what we feel, and that's why we're always down to support people like that.
That's badass, and I couldn't agree more, man. Like it's gotten so bad on certain forums, and dude, Reddit is just the worst.
Dude, Reddit's a nightmare. I don't go on it, dude. It's a nightmare.
And I don't. Anyway, so yeah, I know I totally feel that way. I feel like guns are for everyone, and regardless of what's going on with politicians and lobbyists or whatever, like we're so busy infighting that we don't pay attention to that stuff. If we just focused half of our efforts that we focus on getting on the keyboard and saying why one guy is poor because of what he bought and why another guy is an elitist because of what he bought, and no one really knows what the right thing to buy is, but we're all going to talk shit anyway. Like, if we just spent half of that effort on just trying to keep what we have or maybe get back some of the stuff that we lost, the world would be a better place for gun owners. But we're at each other's throats way too much. We are our own worst enemy. And
100%.
That's just what it is.
I'm the guy that's saving up because like I said, I'm not the AK guy, but I don't know. Matt said something the other day. He posted something on YouTube and he said some words, like some letters. And I was like, dude, is that like a model of an AK? And he was like, no, dude, wasn't even close. I'm like, oh, well, shit, I don't know.
ASMR?
So, yeah, ASMR. I was like, is that a damn, what, is that Hungarian?
I told you.
Is this shit Hungarian or is it like Turkish? Like, what is this? But I met a good friend, a good AK friend through him, Shinobi, and he works at Namaste, and those are guys that take kit builds. They get the kits in and they build out. And so I've told Shinobi, I'm like, I don't know shit about an AK, and I don't want the best AK on the planet. But what I do want is I look at an AK also as art. So I want you to, the stuff he does, building them and welding them back and seamless. I'm like, hey, I want you to make me my AK. Like, that's what I want. I won't know anything about it. I'm going to learn, but it's one of those things, just like you said, it's intimidating for new guys. I'm that new guy. I don't know who to ask. And when you do ask people, they tell you, oh, well, don't buy this, buy that. And then the next guy says, oh, buy this. It's cool, whatever. And you're just like, damn, am I buying shit? Like, I'm not going to be able to afford anything super high echelon. I mean, I can buy some decent stuff, but, it's all new. It's all foreign to me. So having people along the way that are willing to help is super important. And I'm glad that, you're about supporting that too within your own community. That's awesome.
There's too much to know with AKs. There's a whole world of kits. There's a whole world of American AKs in certain times of their life. Well, if you buy it at this time, if you buy it after this year, that's when they got their shit together.
Yeah.
There's so much. It's like some guys will tell you Zastava, Serbian AKs are total trash. Other guys swear by them. Some guys will tell you WBP AKs, they're Polish AKs, are trash. Other guys are saying it's the best bang for the buck right now, hands down. There's other dudes that buy a $700 PSA, they shoot it quite a bit, they have no problem with them, and there's other guys who buy them and they just say that they're big turds. Like, you're never going to get a straight answer. And it's a hard world to get into if you don't know a guy. Like, luckily you got Matt here, you can bounce ideas off of him, but the internet will never give you a straight answer, and I wish it wasn't that way. AKs are such a big rabbit hole, dude, and I feel like I could relate if I wanted to get into, like, cloning cults, right? Like, I don't know what a block this or a block that is. I couldn't tell you the difference. So if I got on a Facebook forum and I started asking questions, I would be terrified to ask the wrong thing or sound dumb.
Tear you apart.
Like, oh, they would, I'm sure. AKs are the same way. It's all the same.
Yep.
So
Same, but different.
Are you an FFL?
Yes.
All right, so I am too. So we're going to take the FFL out of the equation, and this doesn't mean that this is the end all be all, because I don't want you to upset anybody that you're in, you're in good with and all that. But let's just say retail price $1,500 and less. If you were going to say, hey, a good starter AK would be, do you feel comfortable saying one or another or a couple? Because I don't want you to say
M70. It's the best bang for the buck. It's an import. It'll never lose value. It's built on Combloc tooling. Zastava's been making guns for over 100 years. But people don't like them because they're not AKM spec. So the furniture is a little different. But for what they pay, they sell for like $1,000. For a long time, they were like $900 AKs, the M70s. I think that is the best AK for the money, hands down. Fight me on it. If you want to spend a little bit more, and you want AKM, which is like, and I'm sure you and Matt have this discussion. Like, you've got milled AKs, you got AKM, you got Yugo pattern. There's different patterns. Yes, there's a few different patterns.
We tried to have the talk. Everybody gets lost, but
I couldn't get it. I was like, okay, you lost me.
The Yugos, like, they didn't get all the Russian data packs when they were a Combloc country, so they were like, well, fuck you. We'll make an AK, but we're gonna do it our own way. So they did it slightly different. The same way that Czechoslovakia said they hated being under Russian rule, so all they did was adopt the round, but they were like, nah, fuck you, we'll make a VZ58. So that's what they did. So they made a very nice gun, and everyone looks at it and goes, it's a funny-looking AK. It's a completely different gun, but they just hated being ruled by Russians so much. They used the round, they made their own gun, and it's very nice. But for the money, dude, an M70. Like, boom. A lot of guys, if you want AKM spec, which you're going to have a huge aftermarket support for AKM spec, the WBP stuff is around that $1,100 to like $1,500 price range. And you've got, they make 545, they make 556, they make 762. Pick your poison. It's all AKM. You're going to find a shitload of aftermarket. You could put Zenico on it. You could put J-Max stuff on it. You can put the new Sure Shot rail on it. Whatever you want. You can totally space AK it out, and the parts are going to be everywhere. Those two, for me right now, are kind of king of the castle for maybe spending a bit over $1,000 and getting a really nice gun. You can buy Wassers, but Wasser is about to jump up in price. And for what you get for a Wasser, I don't think it's going to be worth the coin anymore. So those two, Polish AKs and Serbian AKs, to me,
you
best bang for the buck.
almost get a barrel for that for the $1,500 if you were lucky. But
that's probably the best, dude. If they ever sell barrels at $1,500. That's a real NATO AK. That's a NATO country.
Sick gun.
That's a real NATO used 5.56 AK. So if you're into like cloning NATO guns, that's the only AK that ever served in NATO that's 5.56. So you can kit it out the same way the Polish military did with EOTechs and quad rails and the Archer stock.
All right,
I love that. That's
here it comes.
You guys should see that.
I have to ask the question, since we're in the right forum, what the hell is this thing? You say it's NATO. Like, what is this gun?
Before the wall fell, Poland was, under Combloc rule, so they were using 5.45. They made an AK called a Tantal. They name all their guns after like metal, like tantalum, beryllium. That's just what they did. So the Tantal shot 5.45. Right after the wall fell, they were like, fucking finally. They joined NATO. They stopped making 5.45. They had this gun that they just rechambered in 5.56, and they called it the Beryl with very slight changes. It's an AK. It's an AK. It does AK things. It's just got a couple of, the barrel's got some different stuff on it, but it's a badass gun, and the Poles are still using them to this day. They've got special rails that hold EOTechs at a very high level, so they're great for like night vision if you got nods. They make quad rails. They make different stocks. They make all kinds of really dope shit. The magazines are readily available. They're good. Shoots a common round. It's an amazing gun, and somehow AOA, Arms of America, right here in Texas, brings them in for like $1,500.
Yeah.
When that gun goes away, barrels have only come in one other time. Back when IO brought them in, Matt probably remembers years ago. No one gave a shit. As soon as they were gone, people were selling those things for like $4,000 because they're so rare and exotic. Now that they're coming back, they're $1,500, and they're better than what IO was bringing in. That if you're into AKs at all and you don't own a barrel before they go away forever, you're crazy. That's a huge investment. It's a great gun.
Their pistols are so like crazy.
So my last AK question, because I didn't mean it to be an AK learning and experience, but the thing that we always joke about amongst the three of us is Matt isn't he's not an NFA guy. He hates NFA, and that's fine. That's his opinion. Is it that hard to, not in theory of suppressing, but why is everyone so afraid of putting a suppressor on the barrel of an
those
AK?
damn barrels, because that damn barrel.
Like, Adam had one ready to go and was just like, dude, I'm
terrified.
scared.
I had the rod. I was running it. I'm like, I was terrified. I was not going to run my dead air. I was the Sandman S. I was not going to. I was terrified.
So AKs were never built with the thought of putting suppressors on them, needing the barrel to be super concentric. So, you know, a lot of AKs are built on tooling from decades ago, old Combloc tooling. So these guns were not made to have perfectly centered holes in the barrel. There are crinks where the hole is not center. It's like off to the right, off.
You can visually
That's
see it.
kind of normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of AKs, the threads aren't on the barrel. The threads are cast into the front sight block, so they're not totally like in line with the bore. It's just a common thing. But now there are so many manufacturers that have gotten with the times, and they're putting really good threads on these. The holes are perfectly centered. Not all. I would never shoot a suppressed AK without an alignment check. But if it passes the alignment check, you're good. I shoot the balls off my AKs with suppressors all the time.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They just, so many of them have bad concentricity. And not only that, a lot of AKs, you know, they have 14x1 left-hand threads for the longest time. No one was making suppressor mounts for that until like the Dead Air Wolverine came out, and all these other chemo adapters are now out.
Yeah.
And there's even more upstairs. You got 14 millimeter, 24 millimeter, 26 millimeter. Those are all very common, weird metric
AK
European
size.
Damn
thread
metrics.
Right.
Damn Europeans.
JMAC's making a lot of those right now, I think. I've seen a lot of JMAC stuff.
Through JMAC, you can put any can on
Yeah.
any AK ever now.
Yep.
And they make face mounts, which is a really safe way to put like a Sandman on a regular AK with bad concentricity. Instead of it like tightening up and smashing into your sight post.
Gotcha.
You know, ARs, they have crush
I
washers.
was too scared. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it to the Sandman.
You wouldn't do it.
Oh, dude, I put my Sandman on so many AK. But just by face mount devices, it smashes into the face, and I'm telling you, it will align much better than smashing into anything else.
Hell yeah. We've been talking to JMac and trying to get something together with them coming up in the near future. So definitely those are going to be some questions for me with them. But yeah, man, this is awesome. I can't wait. KalashBash this year, I just found out about it. And like I said, I'm in Nashville. So, you know, I'm trying to pull some strings to see what I can do just to say I've been there. But I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it because that's awesome. I mean, how many tickets like you still got tickets available?
Yes, only general admission. The campsite's sold out.
Okay.
Really everything. There's no RV. There's no match passes. But general admission, that lets you do all the stuff other than the match.
See, I'm gonna have to try to get down there then because I'm right there. So I think that's gonna be what I'm gonna try to get to for sure.
That's the stuff I'd like to do. Just the team building and the networking
Yeah.
and just meeting the cool people and learning more about the stuff. You know, being that I don't even own a damn AK, what am I talking about? But like never compete with one. Like I'd be an idiot to walk into that place and try to do it. I'd at least need to shoot one a couple times first. But, you know, to make it my own. But dude, I would love to just go general admission and just see
Check
it
it
and
out.
see the LARPing and see the community. I mean, dude, what you've created, what you and the three other guys, what y'all set out to do, like, dude, y'all are killing it.
Super cool.
I appreciate that. It's a lot of freaking work, man. Like a lot of people don't see that, and they might think there's like a team of 100 dudes all doing this in the background. It ain't that. It's 4 guys that take 6 months of their time. We all have day jobs. All 4 of us have day jobs. So KalashBash is like after 5 p.m., spend a few hours on it. It's like right now, it's like every weekend. This weekend was totally dedicated. Yesterday, it was nothing but build target stands, build signs, build anything that we destroyed last year with machine guns, take it to the range today, store it, take inventory, organize it. The next week it'll be more truckloads, signing up more staff. Every single vendor, 60 plus, they've all got their own list of demands, and we want this, we want that. Here's what we're paying, here's what we're giving away. You have to log everything. It's a ton of work. 6 months almost isn't enough time for 4 guys to do everything.
Oh no.
Yeah,
But,
we
worth
had
it.
a couple weeks ago. We had another couple, gentlemen on doing Pew Party, and they're putting it together in Waxahachie, Texas, and talking
at ETTS.
Yep.
Yeah.
and talking to those guys just about what goes into a show. It's about like anything else. Everyone takes for granted how easy it is to put together a podcast, or everyone thinks that it's easy for you to go out and, oh, you're just going to take your camera and set it on a tripod and you're going to make a review for YouTube. Like, Yeah, you can have a couple that are that simple, but for the most part, it's let's go film for multiple hours to get 15 minutes worth of quality footage. And even when it's quality, if you don't put the edit together correctly,
Yep.
it's shit.
The post-production is like the most time-consuming part, almost.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. And then you see all the flaws with what you filmed, and you're like, damn it. It's
How do I fix this? Or
Yeah.
what can we do? Or do we even use it? So, yeah,
Come on,
I mean,
CapCut. Come on,
Trash.
CapCut. You can fix this.
Come on, CapCut.
yeah. So yeah, definitely for everyone listening that, you know, is going or thinking about going or wants to go the next time or any event or any YouTube or anything, like if you want to be, you know, oh, I think it'd be cool to put YouTube videos together like Klay, you know, it is a job. It is a job, and it's a full-time job. And like he said, it's a job you don't get paid at. And if you do get paid at it, you're paid little. It doesn't make up for everything. So it's definitely a passion project, a labor of love for sure.
Amen.
For sure, man.
Awesome.
It's a ton, and I'll give you one example, and then we can move on. The meltdown video that we unleashed today.
Yes.
Like, it's what's so funny about that is some comments.
I loved it.
It's everyone can tell you how to film a video better, right? They'll say, "Oh, you know, you should have done that," or "Man, you should have had this mag, or maybe this or that." You'll have all these suggestions, and I'm like, "All right, listen, y'all. First, you got to have an FFL, you got to have an SOT, you got to buy the gun, you got to pay someone to convert the gun." You got to buy mags. This gun takes proprietary mags. They're $40 a piece. I need like 50 of them to keep the gun going. I need 2,000 rounds of expensive brass case ammo. I need a place to film this. Who's going to let me dump a machine gun until it catches on fire and blows up? Not many people are going to let me do that at the range. I got to find a place. I got to know a guy. We have to film it. We have to edit it. We have to upload it and pick tags and fight YouTube for days and days and days to maybe try to get it monetized and then just cry and give up because they'll never monetize it. So we're just making a video now. When you're done doing all that, then maybe you can tell someone how they can film a video better, because that's what really goes into it. It's
Well,
a
and what
ton of
sucks
work.
is when you're
And
doing
you
a
gotta find the
meltdown.
guy willing to hold the trigger while it's on fire.
That's where Cody comes in.
Yeah,
He's already got a
Cody's
fucked up finger,
he's
so
wild, dude.
he'll be all right.
But if you think about it also, when you say that, also, I think the most important thing, you've said all that, but the most important thing, the linchpin in it all is that this is a meltdown video. You get one fucking shot.
Yeah, you can't stop filming. We had cameras overheat, and I'm like, damn it! Like,
If-
you
Oh,
can't
like-
stop.
Yeah, in the
You
summertime.
can't just say, "Oh, we messed up. Okay, let's just buy another rifle and we'll reschedule this shoot for a couple months." Like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Like,
File
it's
the paperwork, post sample it, convert it, buy the full auto trigger, the parts, like all that all over again. It's such a process to do that.
yeah. So, yeah, when you're able to do all of that and then say, "Oh, it's cool. I got a backup one, so I can do it again better," then hey, you're better than us. But
I do
yeah,
want
that's-
to. I do want to touch on that video, Klay, because this whole series on that model I think was really cool. I mean, I'm definitely in the fallen in the crowd of giving Pioneer lots of hate. They
Oh, yeah.
came to market with cast iron trunnions, and their stuff was breaking and being a pile of crap.
Trunnion.
And there's a lot of opinions in the AK world, and like looking at your content, it's pretty obvious to see like you might be a little bit of an Arsenal and Zastava snob. But back to tearing down walls, you bought the nation's cheapest AK to prove like it's either going to do it or it doesn't. And this whole video series over the what's it been, a month, has proven that it'll do the job for a sub $600 underfolder AK. And you weren't scared to show that. You don't have so much pride in being like, oh, well, I know Pioneer's junk, so I'm not even going to try it. And I think that was a really cool thing that you did for the community and make AKs approachable to people who are scared to be like, man, all I can afford is a Pioneer. Like, what? And that
Dude,
makes
I
me
could- I
bad, or
could
that makes
film-
me poor. Like, I think it was a really, really job well done on that model.
Well, I appreciate it, and I could film, and I do. I mean, you've seen some of the AKs I own. I can film a $4,000 SGL 21, the closest thing we ever got to a 103. People are
Yep.
like, man, kind of cool. Can't buy it. Don't really want to watch the video because it's unattainable. Okay, cool. I could film so many super rad, highly collectible AKs, and they do okay as far as like views and interest, but it's not relatable. Those guns are no longer available. If you don't have them, it's kind of cool. I mean, how many of us watch stuff we're never ever gonna buy? Most people want to Google the shit out of something they're definitely gonna buy. Maybe they already bought it and they want to see, did I spend my money wisely?
Yep.
Those
Justifying
videos
that
do
purchase.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole point to that gun was, all right, I'll give. Everyone hates this company. This gun, I have an opportunity to buy it for like $560. Do I do it? Do I not do it? Fuck it. It's not that much money. I'll do it. In what world can you buy an AK, certainly a 5.56 underfolder for that money? It doesn't exist. And I thought if there ever was a video that could get views, because AKs don't sell this cheap, here it is. And sure enough, like, people were really interested, love it or hate it. People can relate to that. There's so many college kids in today's economy that cannot buy a nice AK. Certainly can't buy 5.45 or 7.62 because you can't afford the ammo, nor can you find it. Yeah. So here's this lonely little $600 5.56 AK from a company that people tell you to hate. Why not film that thing? Like, people would love to hate it, so they're gonna watch. And then if by some fortunate byproduct it actually does work, whoa, where's God now? Like, there's this gun's working. It's not supposed to work. That's also interesting. Why wouldn't you film that gun?
Right.
You flip the industry, bro, and I'll tell you, that is now a video of a gun that you can no longer buy, because you're a very humble guy, Klay, about your competition and about your following, but those are hard to find right now since you started that video series. They're not just laying around
there's
everywhere.
So many people out there with a little bit of money that could care less about the AK community. They just want to buy an AK. Yeah. If I need that shape in my gun safe to complete the collection, that guy's not going to go buy a $3,000 AK that he's never going to shoot.
Oh, no.
Just want something affordable and dip my toe in the water. I mean, there's companies out there, but if you ask about them, people will tell you to run for the hills. But, dude, some of these companies somehow have figured out to sell a really cheap AK, and maybe it works. I know that blows people's minds, but maybe it actually works. And it's under $1,000.
I think it's the same way with just about everything, whether it be your cheaper, less expensive ARs, whether it be your cheaper, lesser expensive pistols, you know, whether it's 1911 or 2011 or striker fired or hammer fired or revolver, you know, bolt action, whatever. There is a price point for the most part for everybody. A lot of times, I don't know if you've ever done this, Klay, but a lot of times I like going into the distributor websites and I'll click on firearms, and then I'll sort low to high. Just because I'm interested, what is the cheapest gun that I could buy today? There's one that I'm scared to buy. I mean, it looks like you built it at Home Depot, and I still haven't bought it. It's a pistol. But it's like, holy shit. But there is a market that it's made, and maybe not a lot of people buy it, but it's made because it's an inexpensive gun. And right now, either you got the money or you don't. But even if you do have the money, everybody's hanging on to that coin a little bit tighter right now in the world we live in. So can I spend $1,500, $2,000 on a gun, or can I get something kind of close that, you know, will get the job done? It's still not going to be my go-to rifle if it ever hits the fan, but what's it matter? It's just going to be a range toy. So, $600, $700, $800. That's cool. And then I still have money left to buy something else. So I feel that, and I appreciate you doing the cheap, you know, the lesser expensive. I don't want to call them cheap. Do the lesser expensive rifles, because, you know, that's something that, you know, people do want to see, because that, you know, people spend their hard-earned money on these things.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is the most expensive time to ever be alive, right? To afford things.
It's a great time, though, too. Not really.
I wouldn't be able to buy the same house I live in that I bought 6-7 years ago. Wouldn't be able to buy the same house today, making more money than I did 7 years ago.
Yep.
That's the funny thing with us too. It's like, yeah, cool. Like, my house is worth more than it's ever been worth, and I've made more money than I've ever made in my life at this point right now. But if I sell my house, it's a lateral change, or it's, you know, I'm going down. I'm downgrading, because you can't. your money's not worth the same and the house is overinflated. We all know, no matter how much we love our homes, our houses aren't worth what they're being claimed they're worth right now. But if you're not planning on selling it and moving somewhere and you've already got that stuff worked out, like, where are you going to go? Exactly. And it's the same with guns. I mean, it's, you know, if you don't have it worked out, like, you're going to have to buy what's available. And I think it's really cool that you're doing that.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
And this kind of goes back into 5.56 AKs, dude. Matt probably knows. I used to catch so much crap 5-6 years ago, even further. I used to shoot 5.56 AKs back when it was very uncool to shoot, to even talk about without puking in your mouth about 5.56 AKs. Because I will get it tattooed on my ass. I hear it all the time. Well, just buy an AR. Like, okay. Like, hey, I enjoy shooting AKs so much. It doesn't matter what it's chambered in. Like, when all the 5.45 is gone, it's gone, FYI. The 7.62 x 39 is selling for 50 cents a round. Used to be 19 cents a round not too long ago. That's the whole reason a lot of dudes got into AKs. Well, they didn't stop liking them. I never stopped liking them. I love 5.45. I love 7.62. I can't afford it, dude. I shoot every weekend.
Yep.
500 rounds every weekend. Like, I cannot afford. If it wasn't 223, I wouldn't shoot AKs anymore. I just wouldn't do it. The calibers they were designed to take, it wouldn't be worth it if that's all I was shooting. And man, do I hear that a lot. All the time. And it doesn't matter. Like, I've always compared AKs to ARs in like one way. If you had like two sick-ass muscle cars, let's just call them Corvettes, whatever. You got the AR-15 on one side. It's an automatic. It bang shifts every time, like religiously, never miss a shift. But it's easy. You got the gas, you have the brake. It will always get you there. It's extremely reliable. It's same. Very easy to get used to. The AK, it's the same car, a little bit louder, might have some exhaust on it, but it's a stick shift. It's way more involved. There's just more things you have to do to get it to do what you're trying to do. You might miss a shift sometimes, but when you do cut that 10-second quarter mile, shifting gears, you're like, damn, I freaking did something. Like, that was, I freaking nailed it. You might not do it every time because it's not as repeatable as the AR-15, but when you do nail it sometimes with an AK, dude, it's like, I am all that is man. Like, it's such a cool feeling.
Those fucking when you nail a mag reload on an AK.
Because it's not as easy.
No.
It takes more time to practice.
I try and tell people about AK flow state. Like, it takes a second to warm up. Yeah, I miss a reload every once in a while, but sometimes, if I'm out at the range for 4 hours, there's just this hour and a half sweet point where like I'm hitting everything. I hit every reload. It's just like this flow state that's unstoppable, and it's like it's a crazy feeling. It's like
but you never get on camera.
And then
never get on camera.
Oh, shut the fuck up. And then I touch an AR and it feels like a toy.
Oof, sub 3 second.
If I'm ever at the range and I can get a sub 3 second reload and get a couple of hits offhand, I'm like, babe, buy a lottery ticket. You see what I just did? That's never gonna happen again on an AK.
Look at this.
Not repeatable.
Look at this.
Yeah. No.
Hell yeah, dude.
Nah, Clay, man, we appreciate you, bro.
It feels good.
Hell yeah, dude. Clay, we appreciate you coming on, dude. Really do.
Sure.
Clay, let people know, where can they find you at, man? I have one last question, but I'm going to save it to the very, very end. But go ahead and plug yourself, plug KalashBash, all that good stuff.
KalashBashTX.com if you want to see it. It's got an Instagram, KalashBash Texas. It's also on Facebook. It's all the same name. My personal page, it's Klayco with a K, like my name there. 47. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere you look, it's all Klayco47.
Hell yeah, man. Clay, I have one last question I want to end the podcast with. I'm putting you on the spot. Is Brandon Herrera going to be at KalashBash?
He's never missed a year, so safe to assume he'll be there.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, Clay, I appreciate you coming on, brother. I thank you for that. And if you ever need anything from us, you feel free, definitely reach out. We'll be glad. Every event that you have, even if you don't come on to discuss it, drop Matt a message Whiskey and Windage, somebody that way, because in the front, I don't know if you've seen a podcast or not, but basically in the front end, we break it up into segments, kind of like an SNL bit. So it's on the front end, we come in with news, and all we do is we talk about the upcoming events for the next couple months, just so people hear about them. So even if it's not you coming on to talk, just shoot a message, say, hey, we got something happening here, or, you know, this one's happening, you know, and that way we can at least broadcast it to our listeners just to do our part.
Will do, man. I appreciate that.
Awesome, guys. Well, Matt, go ahead and close us out on this one, brother.
Again, they've said it. I said it. We want to thank you, Klay. Personally, I've messaged you with silly questions. You're always interacting in comments on your YouTube, on your Instagram, like a really approachable guy, and honestly, just a treasure in the community. So we appreciate your time. The rest of you guys, we hope you enjoyed the talk with Klay. Thanks for tuning in to Whiskey and Windage. We'll catch y'all later.
All right, guys, that wraps up our show today. Klay, big thank you for coming on. Guys, if you have not already, because Spotify is blowing up, it's amazing. Thank all of you. But if you have not, go over to YouTube and go ahead and hit that subscribe button to the Whiskey and Windage podcast. Guys, notification bell, all the good stuff. Every Tuesday, new podcast drops. Also, if you have not already, we have a reviews channel, guys. Every week we have a new review coming out. Go over to the Whiskey and Windage reviews channel. Hit that subscribe notification bell. Give us a comment. Tell us how we're stupid. We love it. Guys, that's all I have for today. Stay dangerous. Carry a weapon, and I'll talk to you soon.